Welcome back. I kind of look a bit rough. I feel a bit rough, mainly because I am so tired, and because literally yesterday morning I did a 5K. Me and my mum did a 5K. You could walk it, you could run it, do it at your own pace. For darkness into light. Which it is pretty much for suicide prevention. It's like a charity. A lot of people do it. And even though it was yesterday, I am still exhausted and my body still hurts from doing it. But it's okay. It's okay. And I'm also really red because I am currently sweating for some reason. I feel like my body's just overheating. So I might have to put a fan on, but I don't want to put it on because I'm afraid you're going to hear it. But welcome back. We're back with another true crime. The last true crime video I did was the Dominic Ramsey case, which I think I said in that video that it was the case that pretty much got me into true crime. So I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna do cases that I know of, and then I'm gonna go and research cases that I don't really know of, because I feel it's good to kind of research and learn different things. So yeah, we're back with another true crime video, and in today's video we're talking about the disappearance of Madeline McCann, which I got really interested in this case when a couple of months ago. I don't know if anyone heard of it. Probably did, because it was everywhere, that a girl came out and claimed that she was Madeline McCann. And obviously she was not, which I didn't believe for a second that she was Madeline McCann. But we're going to talk about Madeline McCann. And if you don't know who she is, she was pretty much a 3-year-old British girl who went on holidays with her family to Portugal and disappeared. And still to this day, no one has any idea what happened, who took her, what happened to her. She's still alive? Is she still out there? And I actually have an opinion on this case, which I will get into at the end of this video. I feel a lot of people share this kind of same opinion on the case, because there was a lot of things that should not have been done. Considering how young Madeline and her twin siblings were at this time when they were on holidays. But unfortunately there is nothing that we can do now, and I'm sure that the McCanns, if they could go back, they definitely probably would change a lot of things. I really hope you can't hear my fan in the background. I might put it quite far away from me so it's not quite loud. But Madeline McCann, she was born on the 12th of May 2003, so she pretty much is a couple of months younger than me. She was born in Leicestershire, England. I hope I pronounced that correctly. To Jerry and Kate McCann. And she also had twin siblings who I don't know if their names had ever been released to the public, but I did read somewhere that Madeline's sister recently came out and made a statement, because her 16th anniversary was a couple of days ago. But yeah, so there was Jerry, Kate, Madeline, and then the twins, who I think were no more than 2, if not a little bit younger than 2, at the time that Madeline was kidnapped. So Kate was born on the 5th of March 1968 in Liverpool, and when I went to go Google when Jerry was born, it literally just told me 1968 in Glasgow. But in 1992, Kate had graduated in a degree in medicine, and then in 1989, Jerry had graduated in a degree in psychology. Took my brain a minute to try and pronounce that, and sports science. And then in 1992, the same year that Kate got a degree in medicine, he then got a degree in medicine. And then since 2005, he's been a consultant cardiologist in the Glenfield Hospital in Leicester. that was not easy to try pronounce. But May 2007, so Maddie would have been about 3 at this stage. I think they were coming up to Maddie's 4th birthday. The McCanns and a group of friends went off to holidays, and obviously they took their children with them to Portugal. They had stayed in like apartment blocks, that they were all beside each other, and the McCanns had stayed in apartment block 5A. This would obviously result in the disappearance of Madeline. This is where she was taken. She was taken from apartment block A. And then Thursday, the 3rd of May, which that would have been the day that Madeline was taken and was not seen again, unfortunately. Madeline had asked either Jerry or Kate that morning when like they were having breakfast, like, oh, why didn't you come last night when I was crying? Which was a very weird thing to say, because, a little bit of a backtrack, the McCanns and the friends had pretty much went out to the tapas restaurant nearly every night that they were on holidays, and had left the children alone, which is not the smartest things to do. But I'll get into like the tapas restaurant like in further details in a bit. But they were there the night that Madeline and like her siblings were crying, and obviously since they weren't there, no one had came to check on her. So she had just asked, and that led people to believe that someone had came in the night before her disappearance to try and like take her, but since like they started crying, they might have left because there was constant distractions. And then Kate had noticed like a brown stain on Madeline's pajama top that she was wearing, which like is pretty interesting because like a brownish stain can be like a blood stain that's just kind of, I don't want to say developed, but like bloodstains can turn brown, so might have been a blood stain. Like, we have no idea what, unfortunately, the brown stain was on Madeline's pajama top, because I don't know if she was like wearing it like the night that she was taken. So obviously investigators couldn't have took the top to pretty much like test it to see if it was in fact blood. So that morning the kids went to like a kids resort club that like the resort offered. So the McCanns had stayed in a resort, but they offered like apartments for like families and that. So the kids were in the resort club until the family went back to their apartment for lunch, and then they went back to the pool. Kate had taken the last known photograph of Madeline, and I was horse sitting beside the pool. I'm pretty sure she was sitting beside Jerry. And then after the pool, the children returned to the kids club until around 6 o'clock, and that's when Kate had collected the children because Jerry was having a tennis lesson. But he came back after his tennis lesson and helped Kate get the kids to bed, and apparently they went to bed around 7 p.m. and then at 8:30 the same evening the McCanns left 5A to go out for food with their friends in the Ocean Club Open Air's tapas restaurant, which was located on the other side of the pool. And apartment 5A, which is where the McCanns were staying, were about 55 meters away from the restaurant, and only the top of the apartment was visible from the restaurant, but not the doors. So that wasn't really great. I would have liked to see the doors, but okay. So the patio doors could only be locked from the inside. So the McCanns decided to leave the patio doors open so they could like get in and out that way to check on the children, because if they kept unlocking and locking the front door, The McCanns claimed that it would have woken up the children. So they just decided to leave the patio doors unlocked. Now I'm not sure if like the patio doors was located at the front of the apartment or like the back of the apartment. But they just thought that that was the right move to leave them doors unlocked so they can get in and out quietly without disturbing the children. And they had like the curtain drawn so like no one could see in. And like I don't know how I feel about that. Like the fact that like Madeline was the oldest and she was only 3. Like I'm going like 21, and like if we were in a foreign country, my mom would not leave me alone. And like I'm a fully grown adult, so I don't know how they thought it was okay to just leave literal babies in the apartment alone in a foreign country. You wouldn't even leave them alone in your own house, never mind in a whole different country that anyone could be there. And I think like Portugal is quite high for like sex trafficking and all that type of stuff, so like it's really not the smartest thing to do. There was a child safety gate at the top of the steps from the patio, and then a low gate at the bottom of the stairs which led to the street. So maybe the patio doors were at the front of the apartment, which is even scarier to pretty much think of. So the resort staff had left a note in a message book at the swimming pool reception asking that the same table which overlooked the apartments be booked for 8:30 for the McCanns and their friends every evening of pretty much the holiday leading up to Madeline being taken. This message had also stated that the children would be left alone, which Kate believes, and I can imagine a few amount of people believe that whoever was involved seen this message and thought it would be a good thing to like try and like kidnap. So the McCanns and friends left the restaurant every half an hour to check on the children. Jerry checked 5A, so he checked on his own children around 9:05. The children were asleep. Jerry did not recall having left the children's bedroom door open. Like it was slightly open according to him. And now it stood almost wide open. So that was great, but like maybe like Madeline, because I'm pretty sure like the twins were in a cot where Madeline was in like a toddler bed, so maybe Madeline like got up in the middle of the night or something, and maybe that's how the door was open. I'm not really sure. But he pulled it nearly closed, like he pretty much completely shut it before he returned to the restaurant. No, that's where Jerry on the way back had met like an Irish couple, I believe, that he knew, and then Jane Tanner had went to go check on her children, which was one of the friends of the McCanns, and she claimed that she went around like 9:00, and that's when she had seen Jerry talking to this couple. But she thinks that he didn't see her. But she had seen someone like carrying like a child, and this like description she gave to the Portuguese police. He was carrying a child that was like asleep, was in pink pajamas, and had blondish hair, which is very interesting. And Jane, that after Kate had discovered Madeline gone, she straight away was probably thinking that was Madeline. So the guy had like darkish hair, he was carrying a sleeping child with like pink pajamas, which that's what Madeline was claimed to be wearing. But Jane had presumed that because like the kids club was open quite late, that maybe he was just taking his kid back, and the kid had fallen asleep. So like at that time when she first seen this, she did not think anything of it, but now she believes that it was unfortunately poor Madeline. So around 9:30, Kate intended to go check on the kids, but a friend of like the McCanns, Matthew Oldfield, was going to like check on his children that were in the apartment next to McCann. So he suggested that he can like pop in and check, and Kate was like okay, and she stayed at the restaurant whilst Matthew had went and go check on his own children, and then he went and checked on Madeline and the twins. So when he went into apartment 5A, which was the McCann's apartment, he did notice that the children's bedroom door was wide open. So he looked in and he said that he recalled seeing the twins in the cot, but he couldn't recall if he seen Madeline. But he just presumed that Madeline was asleep. He also could not recall if like the window was opened or anything like that, and he went back to the restaurant without really knowing if Madeline was in the bedroom. So around 10 p.m. Kate had made her way back to the apartment to check on the children, and that's when she noticed that Madeline was not in her bed. Kate had entered the apartment through the unlocked patios, because that's how they were getting in and out of the apartment, because like I said earlier, they did not want to wake up the children by using the front door. But when she tried to close the bedroom door, because like I said, when Matthew went to look at the children, she had noticed that the bedroom door was wide open. When she went to close it, it slammed shut, meaning that the window was opened, which I'm pretty sure the McCanns were called before they left. Like the curtains were drawn, the bedroom door was shut, the window was shut. So this was very strange. Kate had noticed that Madeline's like stuffed cat, like her teddy bear, and her blanket was on her bed, but Madeline was gone. And she had searched the apartment, and then she ran back to the restaurant screaming that Madeline is gone, they've taken her, which was like, okay, your child is missing, and you decide to run out of the apartment where your two other children were, who were younger than Madeline, to tell everyone. Like I know obviously she wanted to tell everyone, but like in that situation, you wouldn't just leave your other two children behind, considering that if you want to look at the perspective that the McCanns had nothing to do with it, if someone had taken your child, you'd be afraid in case like they come back, because the twins and Madeline shared a bedroom, so whoever did took her, they would have known that there was two other children in the room. Like, why? Like, wouldn't you be afraid that maybe they would come back and take the twins? So around 9:10, Jerry had sent Matthew Oldfield to ask the resort's reception to call the police, and around 10:30, the resort activated its missing child protocol. So at least like this all happened pretty quickly, that they were kind of on like the ball to try and like find Madeline, because obviously like the early hours of like a disappearance is the most important, because like the longer you leave it, the harder it's going to be to try and find that missing person. So about 60 of the resort staff and guests searched the resort until like 4:30 a.m. Assuming that maybe Madeline had just wandered off, which like I said earlier, there was like a gate at the baby gate at the bottom, at the top of like the steps at the patio, and then there was another gate at the bottom the stairs, sorry, leading to the road, it would have been quite hard for a 3-year-old to, I guess, just wander off. Like, that's just my opinion. And apparently, like, the searchers were calling Madeline's name, trying to find her, because at this point everyone just presumed that she had just wandered off. So officers arrived at the scene at 11:10. They were coming from a place called Lagos. I have no idea but how to pronounce it, but apparently it was 5 miles away from where the McCanns were staying. My van went dead, so you don't have to listen to it in the background. But after briefly searching the area, they alerted the criminal police, and I'm not gonna try to pronounce it. But they had contacted criminal police to come in, and I'm presuming to do more searches. So at 2 a.m, 2 patrol dogs were brought to the resort, and then at 8 a.m, another 4 search and rescue dogs were brought in, and these dogs are trained to like smell blood, all of that. And apparently the dogs brought up could like detect the scent of blood off Madeline's teddy bear, and then off the trunk of the McCann's like rental car that they had. So that's why a lot of people think that they were pretty much involved in the disappearance of Madeline. So apparently there was a lot of mistakes during like the golden hours soon after Madeline's disappearance. The border nor the marine police were given descriptions of Madeline for many hours, and officers did not go to like apartment to apartment to search to see if she was there. According to Kate, roadblocks were first put in place at 10 a.m. the next morning. Police did not request any motorway surveillance, pictures of vehicles even. The resort denied the disappearance, or the road between, I don't know how to pronounce it, but pretty much Lagos and Villa Real de Santo. I have no idea how to pronounce it on the Spanish border, but like they didn't look for any of that. So that would have helped if they had looked for like surveillance cameras to see who was coming in, who was coming out, just in case Madeline was genuine taken and it wasn't the McCanns that were involved. And also, not everyone that was staying in the resort was interviewed at all by police. And I believe that the McCanns, like some of their family, came over to even take part in the search of Madeline. The crime was not secured, and Portuguese police took samples from Madeline's bedroom, which were sent to forensic labs. It was reported on June 1st of 2007 that the DNA from one stranger had been found, but around 20 people had entered apartment 5A before it was closed off, according to chief inspectors. So it could have been anyone's DNA at this point. Kate recalls that an officer had put tape around like the children's bedroom, but had left around 3 a.m. without really securing the apartment. The case files that were released in 2008 showed that 5A lay empty for a month after the disappearance, and then was let out to tourists before being sealed off in August in 2007 for more forensic tests, which I feel like they're not going to get much out of them forensic tests because there was other people staying in the room. So a similar situation occurred outside the apartment when a crowd gathered by the front door of 5A, including next to the children's bedroom window, through which an abductor may have entered or left, trampling the evidence. So police, quite similar to the JonBenet case, didn't really secure the crime scene. An officer dusted the bedroom windows for any sort of fingerprints without wearing gloves or other protective clothing. So that was also a great thing to do. Like, cases like this kind of really piss me off because police there's so many cases that police just didn't like do their protocol of what they were supposed to do, and it's really sad because a lot of these cases aren't solved, and you kind of have to wonder, well, if the police did their correct job and like actually did what they were supposed to do, maybe these cases would be in fact solved. Now, I kind of just summarized the case because I feel like my JonBenet Ramsey case was like really, really long. But there was a lot more like investigation going on. Like the British police got involved because Madeline's originally from England. There was a lot of theories surrounding what happened to her, but I'm only gonna like go into like one, and this is one that I personally believe, which is that the parents were involved, or at least responsible for Madeline's disappearance. So people believe that the McCanns, because they were both doctors, they both knew medicine really well, that they had given Madeline sleeping tablets. People believe that they gave her sleeping tablets in this particular night because, like I said in the beginning of the video, the morning of her disappearance, she was she asked her parents why didn't they come when they woke up and they were crying. So maybe the McCanns didn't particularly want them to wake up again in the middle of the night. So people believe that they had given Madeline sleeping pills and they accidentally gave her too much for her age, that she did overdose, and they didn't want to lose their licenses, because if you give someone too much of a medication, you can lose your license. So people believe that they kind of put her in the ocean, because I believe that like the ocean wasn't far from the resort, and we know that the ocean's a big place, so it's nearly impossible to find a body if you put it in the ocean, because like I said, they had the dogs that they brought in had recalled blood from Madeline's teddy bear and then the trunk of the McCann's rental car, so that was belonging to Madeline. So I definitely believe something happened, like maybe an accident happened where she fell or something, and I definitely do believe that Madeline's disappearance was caused by her own parents, because I feel like it's very irresponsible to leave your child, especially that young, in a foreign country, just to go out and have some dinner, and I'm pretty sure that the resort had babysitters. I actually forgot to mention that the resort had babysitters, and in an interview, the McCanns were asked like, "Oh well, why didn't you just get babysitters if you really wanted to go out for dinner?" Which is a very fair point, because they had put the kids to bed at 7 p.m. the night that Madeline was taken, and they had went to the restaurant between 8 and 8:30. So the McCanns could have put the kids to bed. The babysitter could have came in just before they left, and the kids wouldn't have known that there was a babysitter there to watch them, because they would have been asleep. But they were asked why didn't they bring in a babysitter, but the McCanns claimed that the kids had like a routine and they didn't want to disturb it. But I'm kind of just thinking, like I said, they could have put the kids to bed, made sure they were asleep, because obviously they were gonna have to wait until the kids were asleep to leave in the first place. That they could have got a babysitter. The babysitter could have stayed and made sure that everything was okay. Because I doubt the kids would have left, like woken up by the time they got back. And if they did, at least someone was there watching them. But I do think it's madness that recently a girl, I think she was Polish, came out claiming she was Madeline McCann. Like the minute she came out and said she was Madeline, I did not believe her 100%. I did follow it because I just thought it was a really weird story. But God knows what happened to Madeline. Same with John Bonet. Like, will we ever find out what actually happened? Like, will we find Madeline? It'd be really nice if she was still alive out there and someone just unfortunately did kidnap her, because a lot of people kidnap children because maybe they can't have children of their own, so they kidnap other people's children. Like, there are cases out there where that has happened. But I do think 100% that in this case the parents were involved in some way or another. And I was quite young when this first happened. I was only like 3 or 4 when this first happened, and I remember like my mom was obsessed. Like, and she still is. Like, anytime there's something on the telly about Madeline, like she's there watching it, and like she definitely believes that the parents were involved. So I kind of grew up with this case because my mum watched every documentary, she read all the books. But yeah, I do find this case interesting because of how irresponsible the parents were, considering that they were smart people. Like, it's not like they were uneducated people. Like, they were very educated, and they just chose to leave their young children, who were legit babies nearly, alone for a couple of hours. Like, it's dangerous enough to like leave a child that young alone for like 5 minutes, never mind a couple of hours. So yeah, I think that the parents were definitely involved. My voice is getting sore from talking, so I'm gonna end it here. I hope you enjoy it. Of course, let me know what you think. I personally think the parents were involved in some way or another. I do not believe that anyone else was involved bar the parents, but let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back with another true crime video soon. They take a lot of research to do, but I'll hopefully have another one out in like a week or two maybe, and till then I'll see you in my next video.